Now then, folks, how you doing? It's James, JT at the movies, and I'm back for another collection update. I'm really sorry that it's been a short while since I've uploaded anything new. The videos that have sort of come out over the last couple of weeks have been things that I probably recorded in the middle of May. I'm going to be totally honest with you guys. My work schedule for the day job has picked up significantly, and it's meant that basically a lot of my downtime has been spent just relaxing. Because the day-to-day schedule's been so hectic. And as well as that, I know that you all know, because I always bang on about it, I'm playing in a couple of bands, and with the lockdown restrictions starting to ease now here in the UK, rehearsals have increased and even gigs have started back up again. And it's just been a case of getting two bands that haven't played in front of an audience for nearly 18 months back to the stage where they're actually ready to put a really good show on. And so there's just been other factors in my life that have sort of taken a bit of a priority over the last few weeks. I'm not going anywhere, and I do aim to make sure I at least have one video out a week for you going forward. I've started filming the tour of the Blu-ray collection, which you can see is just behind me, so that'll be coming in the next few weeks. I've obviously done a couple of ranking videos recently, my favourite actors and actresses. I've got the next instalment of Debriefing 007 in editing, as well as a Clint Eastwood movie marathon that me and Laura did over Easter of this year. So that's how far behind I am on my editing. I've got a project that was filmed at Easter that still hasn't made it to you guys watching it on YouTube. But anyway, we're nearly at the end of June now. Well, we're past the midpoint in June anyway. Let's jump into what I bought in May 2021, shall we? So as always, we'll start with the DVDs and work our way up in format. So I'm going to go DVDs, Blu-rays, special edition like collectors, boutique Blu-rays, and then 4Ks. So the first one is one that you'll have seen in the thumbnail of this video, and I actually imported it from Germany for 99 cents because I'd watched a video on the Hack the Movies channel, which is a US sort of YouTubing podcast channel run by Tony, Newt, Crystal, Johanna and a few other movie buffs there, and they talked about Tom and Jerry the movie. So this is the one from the 90s, not the recent live action one with Chloe Moretz that's come out. And I remembered enjoying this when I was a kid. I've not actually gone back to it and watched it again, but this is the one where they talk, and I think Richard Kind is the voice of Tom, and it's a bit of a musical, and does obviously stray a little bit from what Tom and Jerry traditionally is. I know that it gets absolutely piss poor reviews, but for 99 cents I was browsing Amazon and thought, do you know what, that's worth picking up and revisiting. Both me and my girlfriend and my sister had all sort of said that we'd liked that and sort of reminisced about it when we saw the new Tom and Jerry movie being advertised for DVD. The next one I picked up at some point in May in HMV, and I picked it up purely for the cast: Michael Caine, Sean Connery, Christopher Plummer in The Man Who Would Be King. So I've not seen this film before. I've seen snippets of it, on compilation videos and documentaries about the actors involved, Michael Caine and Sean Connery. I've seen clips of it, but I've never actually sat down and watched the full thing. And it's one of those sort of like classics that I need to right that wrong, really. So I decided to pick that up. In the recent sort of Amazon sort of sale, if you can call it that, obviously we were alerted to over on the Facebook groups, where things were going for dirt cheap, I managed to pick up The Founder. I got the latest instalment in the American Pie series, American Pie Girls Rule. I quite enjoyed this. It's nothing special. It doesn't do anything that the other 72 entries into the franchise before it have done before. It pretty much is a rehash of the first one, but from a girl's point of view, and obviously set 20 years later. So a lot of the technology's changed, and a lot of the attitudes have changed towards how sort of growing up is perceived and things like that. But it didn't do anything new. It was exactly what you'd expect for American Pie. I enjoyed it nonetheless. Good little chuckle. I picked this next one up because I'm a fan of shark movies. It's a B movie, straight to DVD jobby. Looking forward to checking this one out very, very soon. And that is Great White. This next one I picked up the same time I picked up as The Man Who Would Be King, and I've none of James Dean's movies in my collection, but I know he only did 3 or 4 movies, so I'd be quite keen to sort of collect that little filmography, as it's quite an interesting little piece of film history there. So rebel without a cause, and I do like these sort of like Warner Brothers, Universal, MGM sort of classic slip covers that they've been doing that have a few on DVD and Blu-ray and whatnot. The next DVD I picked up, there was a charity stall, so not a shop, but a stall in a shopping centre near where I worked, and they had some DVDs. They had this one for 50p, and obviously it's an Oscar winner, Best Actress for Julianne Moore, and it's still Alice. So I've not seen this film, but I do love Julianne Moore as an actress. She's great. Almost made my my top 20 list. Was just picked to the post by, well, the ones in the top 20 list. But I've yet to sit down and watch this film, so I'm looking forward to doing that. This next one, I can't remember who, so I'm sorry I can't give you credit, but one of our fellow YouTuber movie collectors picked this up, and again over in the Facebook groups that Magpie Movie runs and Big Paulie, they posted their update, and this next title was one of them that they'd seen. Now, I love a good sci-fi space adventure, and especially the classic ones like the 60s, 70s and 80s, and I'm ashamed to say I'd never even heard of The Black Hole before. Now, I couldn't get it on Blu-ray, but I managed to get the DVD for a £5, and you know, I thoroughly enjoyed this. Really enjoyed it. Just a weird little sort of a bit of, I suppose, fan fiction, if nothing else, from me as a Bond fan. This film kind of felt like maybe like if Drax had have won in Moonraker, or at least partially won, the film adaptation of Moonraker anyway, maybe like that's the sort of character he would have become, like, you know, 10, 15 years down the line. And I think I put on Instagram as well, I don't know, maybe it was the John Barry score and sort of, you know, feeling very similar musically to James Bond that maybe made that connection. But yeah, just a silly little bit of fan fiction from me. The next one, we've got another DC effort here. I've yet to watch it, but I love the time travel movies that they do with The Flash, and I love the Justice Society stories and the period set pieces in the war, so I think I'm going to have a really good time with this one, and that is Justice Society World War II. Really looking forward to checking this one out. The next one, I bought it, I watched it the minute I got it home because the cast was just like, oh my god, I've got to watch this film, and it's a murder mystery thriller, and I was just like so pumped for this film, and then it really had one of the worst endings I think I've ever seen to a film. I was really disappointed with the little things. Now, I'm quite a sort of a easygoing guy, quite a placid sort of guy, and I wouldn't normally ever make a recommendation not to go out of your way to see something, and I'd normally say people, you know, leave it up to your own judgment sort of thing, but I really wouldn't recommend wasting your time with that, because the third act was just such a letdown that anything that was even remotely promising about it in the first two acts, and some interesting performances from Denzel Washington, Jared Leto and Rami Malek, were just undone with, like I say, a really naff third act for me. Wouldn't go anywhere near it. The original Pelham 1, 2, 3. On a bit of a Denzel kick recently, me and Laura watched the remake, and I was really keen to go back and revisit this one, which I've not seen for the longest time, and didn't have it in the collection, so got this for a really good deal on Amazon. The next few are from Poundland. I picked up Russell Crowe in The Next 3 Days. Have not seen this before, but for £1, I was taking a gamble. So I picked this one up because it's a John Carpenter movie, and also it's got Ice Cube in it as well, and I thought, well, that's an interesting combo. I'd never even heard of this film before, and the chap that I work with, when I told him I picked it up, assures me that it is terrible. So I'm really looking forward now to checking this one out. But yeah, so we've got Ghosts of Mars there. Couldn't quite remember the blooming title then, and I've got a pound sticker over it there. She's no good. Picked this one up on the back of watching one of Mondo Celovic's reviews. He'd talked about Troll Hunter. I've not seen it, and then came across it in Poundland not long after we talked about it in his comments on a video, and thought, do you know what, I'll pick it up for £1. This next one's one that I've been wanting to get for a while, but wasn't prepared to spend silly money on a boutique version of it or anything like that, because really, it's just more of a curiosity for me. It's not something I'm like sort of desperate to see so much as I'd like to see it, to experience it as a piece of film history, and that is the original King Kong. Picked this one up because it's from the director of Heat, and it's starring Chris Hemsworth. Obviously he's in the MCU as Thor, and it's Black Hat. The synopsis intrigued me, so I thought, yep, do you know what, we'll pick it up for £1. And I suppose with a lot of these blind buys, guys, as I always say, if it's not something when I watch it that sort of, tickles my fancy, isn't going to be something I'm going to watch again, I'm more than happy to either give them away to friends, or donate them to a charity shop, or get them weighed in at CEX, Trade Me In, or whatever. In fact, I'm actually sort of been slowly but surely going through the DVDs and the Blu-rays, and I wouldn't say it's a mass purge at all, far from it, but I've been taking titles out and thinking, never going to watch that again. That wasn't very good. Let's get rid. And the lovely little Keith Lemon bin behind me with all my doubles and spares and what to get rid of is getting quite full again. So we're going to need to get that weighed in. I should probably do a video at some point of the sort of things that I'm giving away, actually, to sort of give you a bit of an idea as to, sort of what didn't do it for me when I watched it, and sort of a bit of a follow-on to these videos. I'll have to bear that in mind. The next one I picked up in Asda because I think I mentioned it before. They started doing a bit of a collaboration with Music Magpie, and so they had Aladdin and the King of Thieves there. I believe this is the second Aladdin film. I've only ever seen the first one, but really enjoy it. It's my favourite animated Disney movie, at least, is Aladdin. So I'm quite keen to check out the sequels. I love this one. And that is Big Hero 6. I've only ever seen this when it's been on terrestrial TV, and again, for a couple of quid in the local Asda, I thought that was the right time to pick it up and add it to the collection. So just yesterday, this film celebrated its 30th birthday. I didn't buy it yesterday, I bought it over a month ago for 50p in a charity shop in Otley in Yorkshire when we went out for a family day out. We went for some fish and chips and a walk around all the shops and the little market to get out of the house and alleviate some of the COVID boredom. And I picked this up for 50p. It is Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. Now, this movie is a bad movie. It's a very bad movie. But it's a brilliant movie because it's so bad, and I have a really, really, really great time with it because of that. I do actually have it in the collection, but it's an old snapper case version, and again, it's picked up years ago when I was still a teenager, and I wasn't as, should we say, picky with the quality of my second-hand discs, and the disc I've got is a little bit scuffed, and it does annoy me knowing that I've got a scuffed disc. But I wouldn't ever go into HMV and spend 5 or 6 quid on buying it on DVD or even Blu-ray to replace it. But this is factory sealed and it was 50p, so I figured, well, why not? So there we go. Another insight into my madness when it comes to collecting there, folks. I'm sure we all have our own little quirks when it comes to this sort of thing. The next one I picked up is, again, one that I really enjoyed from childhood. It's a Disney remake from the 90s, The Parent Trap. Many a happy memory watching that with my sisters and my cousins growing up. So yeah, really enjoyed that one. Just a few more DVDs now. You're thinking, God, we're quarter of an hour into this video, James, and you're still on blooming DVDs. I enjoy my DVDs, folks. What can I say? So the next pickup is Michael Clayton. Again, picked this one we popped out for the day into Otley. I got it for £1 in another charity shop and thought, why not? We'll take a look at it. So I picked this next one up again because of fond childhood memories of actually watching this with my mum and was keen to rewatch it again for £1 in the same charity shop, and that's Father of the Bride. So I'll probably watch this one at some point over the summer as mum's coming up and down a lot at the moment after, I'm sure some of you remember me mentioning at the start of the year my nan passed away. Mum lives in Devon, but she's coming up to spend a lot more time with my granddad. So I'll probably watch that with her on one of her visits when she's up, and if it's not something I'm bothered for, I'll probably just let my mum keep the DVD, to be fair. Now, the last DVD, I didn't get it for the price that's on it. I actually got it for 50p, and again, brand new, in the seal from the factory, and it's a Nicolas Cage movie that I didn't have. Nicolas Cage and Kathleen Turner in Peggy Sue Got Married. So yeah, not one I've seen, but you all know me, folks. I am a Nicolas Cage nut, and so I had to pick it up when I saw that it was 50p. Well now, let's jump into the Blu-rays at a quarter of an hour into this video. Goodness me, I'll have to see if I can do some editing. Probably not, to be fair, because I just chelp and chelp, don't I? He says, still doing it. So, I'm going to show you the standard Blu-rays first, then we'll do special editions. So, the first one is a German import. I recently, in the 101 sale, picked up Jeepers Creepers, and you'll see I also picked up Jeepers Creepers 3 in a minute when I show you it. But they don't have the rights for some reason to Jeepers Creepers 2. So, I imported this for a tenner, or the Euro equivalent, from Amazon Germany, so that I had the trilogy on Blu-ray. This was to complete a 2 for £13 or whatever it is deal in HMV that they've got going on the Blu-rays at the moment, and I thought about upgrading this one from my DVD for the longest time. I didn't go for the 4K because I've heard that it's really not a good upgrade, so I went for the Blu-ray copy of Terminator 2 Judgment Day. Been meaning to pick this one up for a while. I recently revisited The Exorcist on DVD and had a really, really great time with it. Surprisingly, the DVD picture quality held up absolutely fantastically on the 55-inch screen behind. But I've never seen the extended cut and was really keen to check that out after the recent rewatch, and we watched a few documentaries about The Exorcist and things that it was has inspired and has been inspired by, and so yeah, I saw this, and this was the other half of that 2 for 13 deal. It is The Exorcist on Blu-ray with the theatrical and extended cut on it, and I really like this slip as well. So inside you've got the normal classic artwork there, but then you've also got this really, really cool funky little HMV exclusive slip which I quite liked as well. Again, from Amazon on the day where everything the prices seemed to fall through the floor on physical media, for something like £2.12, I managed to get a hold of Supergirl. Now, at first they weren't going to fulfil my order, and I was getting that error message that everybody else was getting, you know, where it was like, oh, we can't deliver to your area. But it just sat there in my orders, and so I thought, well, I'll leave it and see what happens, because it was putting like 10th of August as a delivery date on it or something like that. Anyway, a couple of days later it rocked up and I got charged for it, so I'm glad I didn't cancel it. Again, I got the next one for just over a couple of quid, another one to go in my Clint Eastwood collection. Really looking forward to checking this one out, because I think this is the one where he got the actual people that were involved back to play themselves. I know he's done little bits of that before, like he got some of the emergency services staff to come back and play themselves in Sully, but I believe that all the main characters of that film are the people that the story actually happened to in real life, which is a really, really interesting way to go about making a film. It almost makes it like a documentary, I suppose. The next one's an upgrade from DVD. I've had this film many years and thoroughly enjoy it. This was £1.99. There was no way I wasn't upgrading it, and that's Falling Down. I picked this one up after watching Gogglebox with Laura. It's one of her favourite shows, and the cast of Gogglebox were watching this film, and I thought, you know what, I've never actually sat down and seen this film. I like the music, and I like the cast members, so why not? Let's pick it up. And we were in Poundland, and I got Mamma Mia. So I got this one again for a couple of quid on this Amazon sale carry-on thing. And it's Superman, Man of Tomorrow. It's another one of the current DC animated universe ones. I saw this in somebody else's update and decided that the synopsis and the cast really intrigued me. I'd never even heard of it before, but really needed to check this film out. And it is The Last Castle. Again from Poundland, this is the live-action Disney adaptation of The Jungle Book, obviously starring Bill Murray as Baloo, amongst others. I love Bill Murray, and that's the reason I picked this up, really. I do love the cartoon. I haven't got the cartoon, actually, on DVD. Had it on video as a kid, but I haven't upgraded a lot of the Disney ones, because, to be fair, some of them are just ones that I know I won't go back to. And we have got Disney Plus as well, so if I ever really get the sudden urge to watch it, it's ready there, available for streaming at this moment in time. One more Blu-ray, and then I'll show you the very small handful of 4Ks that I'm getting. Now, I really had a great time with this last one, and it is the remake, the reboot, the reimagining of Wrong Turn, and it comes from the original writer of the first film. And instead of it being cannibalistic hillbillies this time in the mountain, it's sort of a faction of society that separated off from the US in the end of the Civil War, and then basically sort of carried on living as though it was the 1860s or whatever. And basically the people in the town have an understanding: we don't go in the hills, you don't come down to town. And of course these out-of-towners go up into the hills, but rather than the townsfolk just saying, look, there's a cult living up in the hills, they'll mess with you somewhat rotten, don't go up in the hills. They instead intimidate them and sort of act all out of character and act like they're the scumbags. So of course these young kids then go exploring up in the hills and all hell breaks loose. And sort of, I think Jordan at Movie Worm sort of summed this film up best. Everything you'd expect in a Wrong Turn movie happens within the first half an hour of this film, and then it does something different. Now, for a lot of people, that was not the way to go, and they just wanted the whole three-finger, one-eye, sawtooth running around the jungle, the forest rather, chasing some scantily clad teens and horror galore. But I actually quite liked, as much as I love the original movies, though they get worse and worse as they go, don't they, the original run. I really quite liked this reimagining, if you will. So, I lied, sorry, there's a couple more Blu-rays to show you, but these are the boutique editions, the special editions. So, I picked up from 101 in their sale, Braindead. Now, I picked this up for Bill Paxton, because he's one of my favourite actors of all time. I watch anything that he's in, and this was finally a good price for me to pick it up, so I was happy to get that. The next one, again, is from the 101 sale that happened in late May. It's Cherry Falls. So I've not seen this one, but it looks to be a sort of a 90s slasher that looks like it's going to be in the vein of Scream and I Know What You Did and Urban Legends and all that sort of stuff. And I think the sort of the gimmick is that the killer's only killing virgins. So I would imagine that it's going to be a bit cheeky in places as well. But there we go. We'll be watching that at some point, probably with our lass, because we both love our 90s slasher films. I mentioned this one earlier. Picked up Jeepers Creepers 3 to complete the trilogy. Obviously don't want to get into the whole backstory of the bloke behind Jeepers Creepers. I obviously don't condone anything that's gone on there. You know, and I found out about that after I'd seen the films. I enjoy the films, but obviously don't condone anything that's gone on there. I just felt like I briefly wanted to put that out there, just so folk know where I stand on that. The next one I picked up from BFI, because they were having a sale at the beginning of May, and that seems like such a long time ago now, because I'm doing this video so late. But it was one that I've been wanting to get for a while to replace some DVDs that I had, again, BFI DVDs. And it is the Akira Kurosawa Samurai Collection with 7 samurai. It's also got in there Throne of Blood, it's got Yojimbo, it's got The Hidden Fortress, and Sanjuro. So I've only actually seen 7 Samurai and Yojimbo, so there's 3 films in there that I'll be checking out for the first time at some point over the course of this year, but I'm looking forward to doing that. The next one I picked up was at the back end of the Arrow sale, so goodness me, we're going right back to the beginning of May now. This is a film I initially watched on streaming a short while ago. A former colleague of mine put me on to this film and said that I'd have a really good time with it, and sure enough I did. And I didn't actually realise that it had a physical release, but sure enough it has, and it's Dave Made a Maze. I would recommend picking this up. And then the next film that I picked it up because it's got, of all people in it, Tommy Lee Jones and Sting. I've never heard of this film before, but it just seemed like something that I would immediately get on with just purely because of those 2 cast members. And that is Stormy Monday, again in the Arrow sale, so half price from its usual list price there, so definitely worth a punt for me is that. Let's jump into the 4Ks. We've made it, folks, to the end of the video. If you have made it this far, thank you so much for watching. Please think about hitting that subscribe button as well. It'd be really great to keep you around on the channel. Like I say, I'm posting weekly videos at the moment, and they're always videos that are film related or physical media related. I might be touring this collection. I might be talking about something that I've picked up or recently watched, or just having a natter about films in general, maybe some ranking videos. But yeah, if you haven't already subscribed, please hit that subscribe button, ring the notification bell, and then you're notified whenever I do post a video. Let me show you some 4Ks then, let's bring this home. So I picked up Apocalypse Now, the final cut, and I got this in one of the deals where you were getting 2 for £30 on the 4Ks. So I'd actually picked up the one I'm going to show you next, and the guy says, well, you know, for a tenner you're going to get another one, is there what else you want? And I was like, actually, I do want Apocalypse Now, the final cut. So I looked at that. Obviously I'll be keeping the other Blu-ray that I've got with the theatrical and Apocalypse Now Redux on it. Probably pronounced that horribly wrong, but hey ho. The one I actually wanted when I popped in was one that I think me and Phil are going to be looking at on the podcast a bit later on this season, this run of episodes over at Lost in His Own Museum. And I've got the DVD. I've had the DVD probably for nearly as long as the DVD's been out, and I figured it was high time I upgraded it. I'm not bothered about upgrading the sequels, but it is The Matrix on 4K. This next one looked absolutely fantastic. I'm not kidding, it was superb on the TV in front of me now. I streamed it on 4K when we got the initial release through Now TV back in March, but this was a day one pickup for me on the 24th, and it is Zack Snyder's Justice League. I had a really great time with this. The DCEU has been a real hit and miss, hasn't it? You know, Man of Steel, for my money, guys, wasn't amazing. It wasn't bad, but it certainly didn't leave me thinking, oh yeah, absolutely fantastic. Batman vs Superman was one of the biggest missed opportunities I think I've ever seen. I came out of the theatrical cut of that in the cinemas disappointed. I think that film, Batman vs Superman, was the film that I've probably been the most hyped for in my entire life. Ever since I was a little kid, watching the cartoons and playing with the action figures from the animated series, I've dreamt of there being a Batman and Superman team-up movie in live action, and they finally announced it, and then obviously it went into production hell, and then was delayed and delayed and delayed, and Zack Snyder stepped in, and he did that awesome reveal at Comic-Con. My expectations were, through the ceiling. And whilst it's visually stunning, it was just a garbled mess. Then we got the director's cut. Now, the director's cut did a lot to sort that out, but it makes it a 3.5-hour movie, which I can understand why Warner Brothers weren't really wanting to release that theatrically, because obviously if it's a 3.5-hour movie, cinemas can only show it so many times a day. There's not enough opportunity for profit and return and all that sort of stuff. But the cut 2.5-hour version is such a convoluted mess. Then we got Justice League, didn't we? And whilst I don't hate it, in fact, there are some moments in it that I actually quite like, with repeated viewings and having nearly 5 years now to sort of let that sort of, sink in. It's really not a good little movie, is it? It's quite poor in places, and the tone shifts between what you can see Snyder did and what you can see that Joss Whedon and Warner Brothers did. Not great. And then the other entries, the solo entries, have been hit and miss. Like the Wonder Woman films are both great. Aquaman was great. Suicide Squad was poor. Shazam was pretty good. Birds of Prey was awful. Well, for my money anyway. I know a lot of people really liked that, but I just couldn't get on with Birds of Prey at all, which is an absolute shame because Margot Robbie is phenomenal as Harley Quinn. But I think she's just had really two just absolutely dire movie. So I'm really hoping that James Gunn's reboot, The Suicide Squad, gives her a fitting performance. And yeah, I suppose we'll have to see, won't we? But yeah, really enjoyed the Snyder Cut. It felt, like a really sort of solid finale to a mixed bag of a trilogy, really. But it sort of redeemed what the first two had sort of missed the step on, if you like, for me. Well, that could have been a video in and of itself, really, couldn't it? My DCEU rant. I might put some timestamps in the video description so folk can jump to where they want to be. The last 4K that I've got, and oh dear, that's oh, it stopped it now. I'm going to have to open this one up in a second because that sounded like I had a loose disc in there, and we don't want that. It is The Patriot, Mel Gibson. So again, I've had this on DVD for years, and it's such a long film. And I remember the last time I watched the DVD that the quality was shocking. And I caught the tail end of this on TV recently, and when you just like, I must rewatch that. And then I sort of looked at the DVD and thought, last time I watched that, it was on a 32-inch screen, and I was sort of griping a bit that the quality wasn't all that. So I picked this one up for, I think, £18 on Amazon, and I'm looking forward to sitting down and sort of spending an afternoon watching that soon. So there we are, folks. That has been my DVD, Blu-ray and 4K update for the month of May 2021. We're shooting it in late June 2021 because, like I say, it's just been a hectic old time of it. But better late than never, and I'll probably see you at the back end of next week for June's update. But there we go. June hasn't been as busy a month in terms of pickups. It's actually been my birthday in June, and I've got a few things from my girlfriend and my family and got given a bit of money. So picked up a few things in HMV with some birthday money. But on the whole, there's not been as many things that I've wanted to pick up, and it's been a quieter month. So I would imagine that June's update is going to be more of a concise update for you. But like I said earlier, if you've enjoyed this video, please think about subscribing to the channel. I'd love to have you stay around a little bit longer. It helps the channel to grow, and I love interacting with all of you folks. It's absolutely fantastic. If you've liked the video, again, leave me a comment down below. Maybe drop a thumbs up on the video to let YouTube and myself know that this is the sort of content that you want to see from me. Above all else, folks, continue to take care of yourselves, continue to stay safe, and I look forward to seeing you again real soon for my next video. Cheers for now.